Welcome to the Casey Catch Up. Had a really good chat with Greg Closier. I did this a couple of weeks ago before I announced I was with AXA, so I did go into a bit of detail, sort of preluding why I like the AXA stuff, and especially for downwind, really found it works epic. But yeah, we went into lots of details with Greg on Z Race in Guadeloupe. Looks like an epic race. I'd be stoked to get a whole crew to go to it one year. Looks like conditions were pretty light this year, and there's a bit of sargassum, which is seagrass or seaweed, that was causing a few issues for the crew. But all in all, looks like an epic race. And thanks, Greg, for coming on. Worth noting, my internet connection was a little sketchy on this one, so there are some moments where I'm sorry, but I tried to edit it as best I could to make it a bit better. But anyway, there's plenty of good stuff in there. It sort of starts a little slow and we sort of ramp up into it. And yeah, it's a fun one. If you are listening to it and not watching it, we do go through a map, and it's just a map of Guadeloupe and where the run is. And we look at the Phantom Fall, and I put a few photos of Z Race photos in. So yeah, if you guys are enjoying these podcasts, be sure to check out the Coach Casey Club. Go to caseyaus.com and you'll see my Coach Casey Club, where we go through all things downwind foil, wing foil, surf foil, SUP, racing. It's all a good fun, and it's a great little community I've built. So I'd be stoked if you could support me by joining up to that. If that's too much, all good. Stoked you're listening along to these podcasts, and thanks for tuning in. There's more on the way. Welcome to the Casey Catch Up. We've got Greg Closier on again, and for a couple of reasons. One, because the first chat was so good, but also he keeps doing these races, and I just want to know. I want to learn what I can, because I haven't done these races. And Z Race in Guadeloupe had a bunch of SUP downwind foilers, and basically a dark horse won. No one knew him or knew his skill level, and we're going to go into that. But also, Greg was saying how just foiling with like-minded people, even before the race, you can learn so much. So I'm trying to tap into that so that everyone else can tap into that. So thanks for coming on, Greg.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, so let's start with the race, or Z Race, because it looks like such a good one. And when's the next one?
Yeah, so the Z Race, when they call this, like with a Z, yeah, it's a really legit race in the paddle world. Like I think it was the 5th edition or something like that. And back in the days, for the first edition, it was actually they claimed to be the longest paddle race in the world, because it was longer than the Molokai. It was like almost 60 kilometers.
Wow. Yeah.
But then it was at the beginning, it was quite the same as the Molokai, with escort boat and lot of logistics. You have to go to start from an island and then cross the channel and go to Guadeloupe. So it was kind of a big logistic. So for the last 2 years, they decided to make it more simple. Mm-hmm. So it's shorter now. It's about around 40 kilometers.
No, so short.
Which makes things easier for logistic, because now we don't have to cross from an island to another one. Mm-hmm. It's from one side of the island to the other along the coast.
Yeah.
And 40K, not for foiler, but especially for OC or stand up or prone, like 60K compared to 40K, it's not the same. Like when you go over 3 hours paddling, it's getting really tough.
Yeah.
So I think they decided to make it a little bit less challenging, but still a good challenge.
Yeah.
And also easier to get all the authorization and make it, I think, just to make it simple.
Yeah.
And maybe to attract more people.
Yeah.
So it's faced with a lot of kayak, OC, stand-up, prone, and foil. Like last year, it wasn't sold because of COVID, and the year before, he was supposed to there were no wind, so they canceled the foil division, but they did the stand-up and the paddling. So it's it's a really good race with a lot of paddlers.
Yeah, it sounds like it, and I'd heard of it a little while ago, but it happens to be like in Australia, our season sort of starts February, March, so about now. There's like a break over Christmas, and it's always just I think 3 years ago I heard about it, or 4 years ago, sort of around 2018, 2019, and I was like, that looks like a cool race. It's it's supposed to be downwind, and it's a long sort of channel crossing sort of thing, and I think I just put it in the too hard basket just for but now I'm just looking at the maps, so I'm going to bring up a map and I'll get you to show us exactly. So let's zoom out. We are in
Guadeloupe.
So we're just to be
Caribbean,
everyone knows the Caribbean, exactly. So, and then this is probably why I thought it was too hard. It's like literally the opposite side of the world from Australia. And then where was the original race, and where was the course you did?
The original, I'm not sure exactly. I think it was from La Désirade with the island on the right side. I think they started from there, and then they went to Pointe-à-Pitre, almost, there. And then you go down, you follow the code, and you go to between Le Gosier and not Pointe-à-Pitre, but just before that.
Okay.
Between this area,
Cool. It looks like, I guess you can see why they don't really need to make it that much harder. They could just start from here. Is that
So actually you cannot start from this point because it's kind of tricky. There is no easy access. So you start a little bit down, but I don't know where exactly. There is a little
I'll zoom in a
little harbor, and it's called, let me see if I see it. Well, it's but it's close to, there must be something. It must be there.
Yeah. It's like a little harbory kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. That's the spot.
Caps the ocean.
Yeah. So that's the start.
And there's a bus as well. Looks like there's a in Google Maps it's come up with a bit of a bus stops. Let's get the bus back. Easy.
No, you don't want to take the bus in Guadeloupe.
Oh, really? So distance wise, I'm going to measure that. So it's like 40 kilometers.
And then you go, so
so it's
Le Gosier, around the Gosier. Let me see. You go to the harbor, just where you are. So something like that.
This is 30. No. By the time you zigzag, I'm sure you're going to get close to 40 Ks. It's about 30, 33.
I think actually it's a little bit further. For at least for the kayak and OC, because it was more than 40. You go around, I think. Well, anyway, it's that's the first part.
But that's cool to know, I guess. And then obviously, I'd assume you get sort of like a trade wind sort of setup going along this direction.
Yes, in this time of the year, the wind is it's called the alizé. I guess it's trade wind, and it blows like east northeast, so which is perfect.
Yeah, perfect. Seriously perfect. I guess at the end it makes it a little bit Molokai-esque, where you've kind of got to come around the corner. Not quite as bad. When you reach the corner, there is no bump anymore. Actually, we're supposed to finish a little bit the foiler was supposed to finish a little bit before the harbor on the beach to get the bumps. Oh, okay. So like sort of finishing.
So yeah, where you are now, that was supposed to be the finish line for the foil, but the other had to go around behind and finish in the marina, in the harbor.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Yeah. Well, I'm glad they're making it a bit easier for us up foilers, because while we are fast, if it's upwind, we're not fast. We're the slowest.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, very cool. So I'll put this photo up on for people who are listening to it. I'll get a screenshot of this.
Yep.
And grab it. But yeah, so tell us tell us the lead up to the race. What were you doing?
So first I want to thank Romuald Mamadou. Romu is the guy behind this race. I mean, not the only one, but he's really the one behind the stand-up and the foil. So he was he's a really good racer, and now he's into foiling. I mean, he's into foiling since the beginning, pretty much. So he's really good, and he was really trying to get as many people as possible, and so nice guy. So yeah, so I don't know when. So we were 10 people signing up for the foil division.
And mainly from where? Like, were there local foilers? Were people flying in?
So two locals. So Romu and his friend Melvin, a young guy, really good OCs, good athlete overall.
Yeah.
And then we had mostly people from France, like Boris and Amandine, Titouan, Puyo. So me, Yann Kilfen, a good racer also, good foiler. François and guy from yeah, and we had also Thiago from Portugal.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if you follow him on Instagram. He's really into. Yeah, actually, I think he's the only one in Portugal to foil downwind. So he must feel a little bit lonely. That's why he came.
Yeah, no, so good. Have to fix that. We have to fix that.
Yeah.
So yeah, interesting. Titouan, he's becoming a downwind foiler. I love that. And
he's really into foiling.
Yeah, no surprises. He's competitive, but he's also very, very skilled. We'll have to get into how everyone went later on, but I like to see how Titouan's going.
Yeah, you need to get in. Yeah.
Okay, so basically European, and I guess that makes sense because it's Guadeloupe is French.
Guadeloupe is French. Yeah, it's a French island.
Yeah. So that also explains why.
That's why.
Yeah, lots of French. And surprised more. Maybe there aren't that many yet, but Americans basically didn't fly down because it's probably closer to like the east coast of the US than it is the Europe. So we'll have to try to fix that too.
I think that maybe they didn't promote the thing too much outside France. That's why.
Yeah.
But that's why I'm here. I'm here to promote the thing for next year. Next year we have international people.
I'm hoping I can come over. It looks like an epic race. I remember you messaged me and said, "Oh, you should come to this race."
And it's not just a good race. It's also like the island is really good. It's really nice. You get good wave for surfing, good wave for foiling, and you get good wind for downwind. So good trip.
Yeah, sounds like an epic trip. Sounds like going to Hawaii. But it's So that's why I tend to pick my race schedule around the locations of places, and there's a reason I haven't been to many races in the middle of the US, or I guess no disrespect to Germany or Switzerland, but I like the ocean and surfing.
But I guess this race, I think it's but if you do OC or stand up or even prone, it's hard because it's hard to travel with your gear, your
Seriously.
equipment. And that's why actually I didn't do this race before when I was stand up paddling, because it was too hard to get the board. And but now with downwind foiling, it's so easy to travel.
So easy.
So
Yeah.
that's why it's good. That's why I think next year maybe we need to promote more, because we don't have so many downwind foiling races. So at least now we know we have this one. So
I know, and Molokai still got the question mark on it, I guess, whether it's going to run again. And look, the more downwind races for foiling, the better. We got the King of the Cart. We got hopefully Molokai. There's a few obviously Hawaii races and Z race we have, and this. Look, I think for foiling, distances up and over 20 kilometers are kind of necessary, because it's kind of a long way to go for something that is shorter, because it's basically if you're going around 20 k's an hour, then you want to be racing for longer than an hour for a downwind race generally, is I guess my feeling. But yeah, sorry, my internet dropped out. We're back on. I was just saying for longer distance races, they really lend themselves to foilers because it's not as long if you're up and foiling. Basically, if you're doing 20 k's an hour, it's a 40-kilometer race. It's about 2 hours or less, probably. Conditions pending.
Exactly. So for the
let's talk about the
race. So
the lead up to the race. So you obviously did a few runs beforehand. You didn't just fly in for the race. You probably did a few practice runs.
The race was just an excuse to go there and to meet with people. So we didn't train for the race. We tried to do as many runs as we could before the race. We didn't plan to train then rest. No. The race we don't care. We just want to go out and have fun. So we did a couple. We did a downwind every day before the race. It was kind of light. Like anyway, it's not this island don't get like lots of wind. It's mostly like those trade winds. They are not really strong. It's not like Maui. It's mostly like 15 knots.
Yeah, that's still plenty. I guess this is one thing that I've been coaching people inland, like people who are living on lakes. Like, I want to learn to downwind. Do you think it's possible in a lake? I'm like, 100%. If you have 15 knots, you use a big foil, you can downwind in a lake, easy. Being in an ocean, 15 knots in the ocean, plenty. Like that to downwind foil, that's heaps of wind, like to be able to get up and going. And it's not the very best conditions for going super fast, but it can be good.
And especially it's an open ocean, so you get the ground swell mixed up with the short period swell. So so before the race, it was mostly like between 10 to 15 knots. And it was a little bit slow at the start, then it was getting a little bit better. And but we didn't do because of the logistic, we didn't do the 40K. We just did the 20K just to be able to do multiple laps, because it was easier. So we did that, and we didn't paddle all together because it was difficult with the logistic, and sometimes it's hard to wait for everybody. So it was kind of a little group, but we tried one day to try to be as many as possible. But, sometimes some people are a little bit late, so you have to wait, and so it's hard to wait for everybody. So, but it was good vibe. But it was hard to have everybody at the same time. but still you could see who was really good. Like right away, for when I arrived, I did the first run. Right away, I could tell Paul Rosier, who I didn't know him. I could tell he's good. He was like boom.
Yeah.
But I think the best was Tom Constant. I told him about him. He's super underrated, but he's really good, and he smashed everybody on the first run. Like I think he was on his GPS. He was 22. He was using a really small foil, and he was I think he had a 22 kilometers per hour, while Paul was behind, was between 18 and 19.
Yeah, wow. So same conditions.
And me, I was like, 18, 19. So but he was fast, but Tom was fast, but he was doing a lot of work. He was, because he had a tiny foil. So he was good enough to find the energy, but he was good enough to power and working his way to
what foil,
get a good timing.
What foil do you think works best? Like, what was Tom using?
Well, I mean, he was using I think he was using F1, the new Eagle that's supposed to come up this year. I don't know if you heard about it. It's super high aspect. And I think it was 850 centimeters square.
Yeah.
So it's tiny, very tiny foil. You really need to. I think it works good on big days, but on like 10 to 15, you have to make it work. So, but so I guess when you have the technique and the cardio, you can make it work.
Yeah, that's
but
for sure.
It's not for everybody.
It's not fun.
And me, for me, foiling is all about being the most efficient as possible. And when I mean efficient, it's going fast, but not doing too much. Just gliding as much as possible.
Yeah.
Like when and actually I know it's not the best way to go faster, but me, when I downwind, I don't use my paddle at all. And I know guy right behind or around me, when they use their paddle, they go faster. Because you can go over bump.
Yeah.
And it's less tiring than using your legs than pumping. But I don't know. It's just my way to do it. I don't say it's not good or it's good. I guess it's faster, especially for people who are used to paddle. Like Titouan is such a good paddler that for him it's just natural to. He said, okay, if I want to go fast, I just paddle and boom.
Yeah,
so I guess it depends what you're looking for, but
yeah, I try to be the same. I did a few last time I was in Western Australia. I did a few runs with Marcus and Ben Tardrew, obviously. When I'm over there, I hang out with them. But and same on the Gold Coast, I went with Jacko and Ben Tardrew, and they paddle a lot. And I'm sort of foiling next to them. I'm like, no paddling. You're not allowed to paddle. I was like, why are you paddling? They're like, get over the bump. I'm like, just sit on the one you're on. Just like you, just try to glide. Just sort of like paddling is like, I don't know. For me, for downwind, like even on the SUP, I've always tried to not paddle as much. Like do a while like the unlimiteds is the 14 you got to paddle to steer, but the unlimiteds you just foot steer like with the rudder. So I've always been like, look, and I think, look, in light conditions, I think it's definitely quicker to paddle, up and over. But I think in really big conditions, you got watch guys like Dave Palama. In big conditions, I think you can't muscle. You can't muscle. Paddle. You have to learn. I think. And I think it's the same with all sort of sports. If it's really big downwind for surf ski, for stand up, for prone paddling, you have, the bigger the conditions get, the more energy there is, the less important it is to be super fit, I guess.
Yeah,
and it's more important to just read the bumps. And I think I like your approach that it's, you know, try to just read and be efficient. And for me, I only really paddle if I make a mistake, or I've got if my coast is, you know, north-south, but the wind is a little bit onshore. So like here we have southeast and northeast winds all of the time. So I've got to cut out, so like going along the coast and then going out to sea. And sometimes when I peel off one bump, I'll have to take a few paddle strokes to sort of make that link before I turn back down with the swell, because it's like you're cutting like almost 90 degrees, or, you know, straight downwind is 0, 90 to 100 degrees into the wind and then coming back down with it. So it's that's when I paddle most. But yeah, I like that you brought that up.
But don't get me wrong, like paddling foiling downwind is not easy. Like it's actually it's hard. And it's risky, because you are pushing more, and you can always, there is always a risk to touch your foil. You attack more. So I mean, it's not easy. But yeah, I just don't, for me, it's just too much. It's too much.
Yeah.
Foiling should be just gliding and just find the energy and let it go.
Yeah. And I think racing is definitely going to crush that dream of ours, because I did a race in Maui ages ago. It was the Poi Bowl race, must have been 2018. And I was on a Maliko 200, so obviously I wasn't going to win at the time. I didn't know that, but Nathan Van Vuren rocked up with a high aspect foil, and I think he didn't win, but he got very close to beating Kai and Cody, who were on the MFC foils at the time. And the gun went off, and I was one of the first up using the Maliko 200. I guess I should have been, got up and going, and I'm like, okay, I'm in the race. And then, you know, everyone was pumping a lot and paddling a lot, and I got to about, from Maliko Gulch to about Hookeeper, and then everyone just goes past me. and then I'm like, and everyone's, you know, going really hard, pumping straight, and, you know, paddling, and they're just going, my foil didn't go fast enough. And this was, you know, the Maliko 200 isn't a fast foil, but it was light conditions, and I was comfortable on it. And I was like, okay, I just stopped racing. I'm like, well, I'm not going to win this race. So I just went way out to sea, and I just surfed the rest of the way, and it was super fun. But like that, I've chatted to a few people about how do we make surfing the foil downwind into a race of sorts, and so that it isn't just fastest from point A to point B, because pumping, paddling is important, especially when the wind isn't that strong. When the wind's really strong, I think, look, the person that reads the bumps best, I was like Dave Kalama, probably going to be up there. Whereas if it's light, I tell you right now, Dave Kalama won't be up there, and he wouldn't mind me saying that. He knows that if it's light, he's a bigger guy. He's not the fastest. There's kids like the Spencer boys and, you know, Kai Lenny, and they're much quicker because, you know, you got to paddle, you got to pump, and it's more of a cardio power to weight thing than it is a reading the ocean thing. So my idea, which, look, it's not perfect, but say you've got point A to point B, you've got your watch, and then and so the person that gets the most distance between point A to point B at the fastest speed wins. So, you know, if it's 10 kilometers from point A to point B, and you can get 20 kilometers in that run because you're zigzagging and you're surfing, but you're still fast, then you win. So maybe that's going to a different sub-discipline. You know, you can enter to win line honors, or you can enter to win the most distance point A to point B. And maybe it's a thing. But I think maybe that kind of fixes the problem. I think
I don't know. Yeah, it's a good idea, but tricky to
so much harder to point A to point B is so easy to police, whereas relying on people's watches.
It's easy. And I guess it's just racing. Like it's just racing, and racing. I think it's like downwind foiling is not like downwind stand-up paddling. Like we know, like in the stand-up paddling, that the racing is really how would you say that, is really important. It takes a big it's really important. But in foiling, it's more about having fun. So racing is one part, but it's not like very, very serious, I think. And then you have the fun part where you just go and have fun.
Yeah.
So
I want to touch on what you meant. I think you're right. I think it doesn't matter, you know, the foiling. It's still at a point where we just want to get out there together and have fun, and, you know, share a few runs, crossing over each other, and you know, testing equipment. Like that's why I'm so curious about the runs leading up to the race, and obviously race day too. But obviously Tom was on a super fast foil, but so and 850 square centimeters high aspect. What was everyone else riding? Like, what were the?
So Paul was on the 1480 F1 Phantom, which is not really high aspect. It's like mid aspect foil, not the fastest foil, but it works good. And I think everybody was Titouan was on the Titouan actually didn't do the race, Titouan, at the last, but maybe I will tell later. But he was on the NSP, same thing, 1450 something. And me, I was on the Kujira 1440. Melvin was on the same Kujira 1440. Romu was on the Armstrong 1325. And Boris was on the Axis 1050, which is same thing, around 15.
That's the
square.
HPS 1050. There's so many foils in the Axis range.
It's 1,500 centimeters square. So same range. Amandine was on this one, or on the light days he was on the big one, the 1150. 1050. 1150. And Thiago was on the Axis, something like 1050. And who else? That's it, I guess. And now Francois and two other guys, Francois and Jan, which are good friends of mine. We do a lot of fun together. They just have one foil. Like Francois, he's got like 1,000. It's Alpine. It's from France. It's really good foil, really fast, but only no big size. Just 1,000 centimeters square. So not big. And Jan, same thing, F1, but small F1 foil. So
to me, it sounds like most people were using, you know, bigger foils, like the.
I had smaller foil, of course. I had the new. Actually, I was kind of disappointed because I had the new Axis Art. I had the 999 and I had the new 1099. But I think the 1099 would have worked, but I don't know. It was. I knew for the race it would be light, so I chose to train with the Kujira to make sure I would go, because I thought the Kujira was the good, fast enough and easy enough on the light condition.
So I've tried the Axis ART 999 and 1099, and I think for light conditions the 1099 would have been what I probably would have used. I did a bit of testing the last sort of 2 weeks, and the 999 underpowered, like if we only had 10 to 15 knots, but obviously always have ocean sort of groundswell here as well, but the wind was supposed to be 15 knots, it was like 10, and I used the Axis 999 and I averaged like around 22 k's an hour. And then the next day I was like, felt like I was pumping too much on the 999. So I'm like, I'm going to use the bigger one, the 1099, and gliding way more. And instead of doing like 22 k's an hour, I was more like, I was not quite 23, but it was like 22.8. So not only was it more fun, like gliding better, but it was faster. So, which you wouldn't expect a bigger foil to be faster, but only when the smaller foil is like underdone. It's like I was maxing out on the 1099, whereas I was never getting quite to max on the 999. So I think also the aspect ratio is a little bit, basically the span is longer on the 1099 axis measure. The numbers are the span of the wing, not the area. So 1099 obviously bigger span than a 999, but the chord is a bit shorter on the 1099. So basically the aspect ratio is, it's a nice wing. I was pretty impressed with it. And yeah, I would have used that, I think, but I can't say conditions. I wasn't there. But it's the Kajira I haven't used either.
Yeah, no, it was, it's a good, it's a big one, but yeah, no, the Axis, I really like the Axis 1099, but I'm not used to it enough right now, but I think that the foil I'm gonna use mostly for downwind right now.
Yeah,
because you can do it, like, I think, light, medium downwind, and even bigger downwind you can handle, I think.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I've been playing around with the 799 and the 899 as well, just while we're talking about the Axis stuff. And you can paddle up I can paddle up the 799.
Wow.
But it's like, I think you need really big conditions. It's like I'm not coming down during the run, but I'm never like standing there being like, this
you're
is
walking.
Good. Yeah, pumping, paddling, not, and paddling a bit. Yeah, I have to paddle to sort of keep going, but like the speeds, even working hard, like it doesn't seem to go slower than like, what's 2 minute 30 kilometers. So it's like, it's fast. It's like 25 k's an hour, pretty much. It doesn't seem to go slower than that. So if you can keep it up, you're going very quick.
But no mistakes allowed, because I think the stall speed is pretty high now. So if you go a little bit slow, boom, you drop.
Well, look, I did an 18-kilometer run on it, and conditions changed a little bit because of our coast, and I didn't make many. I always make some mistakes in the run, but I didn't come down. I've been surfing it as well, and in the surf, it when you first use it, I find the stall speed too high, but then you get used to it. Like you give it 3, 4, 5 waves halfway through the session, and I'm staying up on foil for 5-10 minutes at a time, just linking waves. So for me, if you can stay up on foil for 5-10 minutes at a time in the surf zone, then you can do it downwind, because when you get the wind at your back, man, it's way easier to pump around and and you get the swell and the wind all same direction. So I found once I'm up, I haven't stalled out on the 799 downwind yet, but I've only used it twice.
Okay.
Yeah. The 899 I find is a little bit better. The 899 stall speed, again, at first, I feel like it's a little bit high, but then you sort of dial into it. And I find, for me, in good conditions, the 899 is it's the quickest I've gone. That's for sure, on a downwind run. Sort of I'm not very fast. Basically the quickest I've ever gone. But again, it's not like in between runs, it's not like you're just standing there. If there's a bump, you can hang on to it for a long time, but in between the bumps, you sort of have to pump, link, but it goes fast, man. It's a fast foil. So play around with the ART stuff. I think anyone listening, playing around with the ART stuff, it's, if you get used to it, I think you'll find it's pretty quick.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Nice. So Yeah, and I've tried some of the Armstrong stuff too. I didn't try the 1325, but I tried the 925 and the 725, which sounds like the 1325 was the pick for the Guadalupe race, Z race. But
yeah, he's using He was fast on he's fast on his Armstrong. Yeah, seems like to have a really good glide. And,
I found the Armstrong wings really good. Like the foils themselves were fast, but
but you have to put your fin box super forward. Like he had to remake his board to make the fin box like super forward to make it work.
Yeah, that's exactly. Have you tried the Armstrong stuff?
I tried, but I couldn't do it.
Couldn't do it. Yeah,
like I wasn't. Yeah, I was like, I think those they need, like, first you need the board with the fin box super forward, and you need. I think it takes time. Like, I think you really need to put a lot of time to make it work. And I'm not patient enough, so I just quit. I said. and I didn't have this feeling. I like because I've been using for a long time unifoil and Axis, and I think those are really front-footed. So I like this this feeling. And Lift and Armstrong, I didn't like it. It's not that I didn't like it, but I couldn't
not used
do
to
it. Like
not used to it.
So and hard to put the shim and everything. So I think I just I'm just stay with Axis, especially with Axis releasing his new IRT wing. I said no, it's okay, I can stay with. And Takuma, same thing. Takuma, same feeling, really front-footed. So I think I like this. It's easy.
Yeah. No. So they're the three brands pretty much that you enjoy. You like Takuma, Axis, not Armstrong. Takuma, Axis, and Unifoil.
Yeah.
How do you find going from Axis, which I think is a pretty stiff setup, to Unifoil, which is not so stiff? Like the flex factor.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, because like right now on the right now on the downwind, I'm only with the Axis.
Or Kujira.
Well, actually no, or Kujira. And Kujira is kind of flexy. Like the mast is not as stiff as the Axis. So yeah, it feels weird at the beginning, but then you adjust and you
just get used to it.
You get used to it.
You sort of tune into it. And what feeling do you like more? I guess, like for me, when I go from a soft mast to a stiff mast, I feel like the stiff is like, whoa, but I get used to it quicker. But when I go from a stiff mast to a soft mast, it's like I'm downwinding like this, wobbling side to side. The flex really is off-putting, and I feel like I can't go exactly where I want to go on the Closier mast. And I feel like stiff has got to be better for downwind, right? Like if you have less movement, it's got to be nicer. I don't know.
Yeah, but for example, when I tried the IT 999 and even 1099, at first I tried with the 16mm mast from Axis. Okay, it was good. I had a good feeling, but still I wasn't but I wasn't like I thought that there was something wrong. And Adrian told me, no, you have to go with the 19. So I took my 19, and it felt way better, like way more control. Like the fall was working way better. Like I think those high aspect fin wing, you need really stiff mast. Everything has to be stiff because they are so thin.
Yeah.
So if it's too flexy, then you are missing. There is no good transmission. You're losing too much.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think for those wings you need a stiff mast.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, that's probably a good way to put it. And when I tried the Armstrong stuff, I felt I surfed on the 925 first, and coming from using, I think I've just been using the Axis stuff, the high aspect wing and the softer mast and the fuse felt really out of control, you know, like, and also obviously I didn't have the boxes in my boards probably aren't far enough forward. So I was back and I was, you know, sort of sketchy side to side. Yeah. I was like, nah, I don't know. Then I tried the 725 in the surf with it a little bit further forward, and it felt much better. The smaller foil wasn't as noticeably out of control, I guess.
And the size of the mast matters also. If it's shorter, it's stiffer. So that's why now I'm using 75 for surfing and for downwind. So only this size, and so I get used to it, and it's good.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, like simple. Yeah, only one mast. Yeah, get used to it. All right, let's get back to the race. That was just a little detour talking about equipment, which I'm sure everyone will love. You know, everyone loves talking equipment.
So like I said, like everybody was pretty much on the, like, now we can call this like bigger foil, like around 15. So, and I think that was a good choice, because it was like, so for the race, the forecast was saying like 8 to 12 knots.
Light. So it's not what you want to see for a downwind foil race.
So that's why Titouan didn't choose to compete in the foil division. It chose to go OC1.
Smart.
At the last,
really?
Yeah. And the other factor also is before the race, we did a nice downwind. It was 15 knots, really good bumps, like really good. But it was full of sargass. So sargass is the seaweed that comes from far away, and it's a big problem actually in those islands, because sometimes they have too much, and it's impossible to do something about this.
Yeah, you can't change that.
It's predictable, so you don't know where. So during this practice, I was with Titouan actually. We were like flying, and then we reached a zone with a lot of sargass, and it was impossible to keep going. We had to stop. So we had to stop, then go back again, stop, go back again, until at some point it was less and we could keep up. So that's why before the race, all the competitors, we meet and we decided that 40K with 8 to 10 knots with a lot of seaweed, it would be maybe impossible or
not
at
fun.
least really hard to do 40K.
Yeah.
So we decided to do the first part, which was, from what we saw, the less concern with the sargass, with the seaweed. So we decided to do only 20K.
Yeah.
Because you would be light, and maybe with the seaweed. So it might take time.
Yeah, totally. So I know exactly what you're talking about, because over in Western Australia, I did the race called the Doctor, and the wind was really good. Actually, the wind was like, 15 to 25 knots even. And but there's this seaweed that, it's like a ribbon weed. It's really thin, but it gets stuck on your mast, which just is like, it's like having a handbrake. And then even worse is stuck on your, like the wing on the tips. And what happens is you, like, for those that don't know, you get like on the mast, you can deal with, it's slower, but you can you just sort of ride high, and it sort of sometimes comes off, sometimes not. On the wingtip, if it gets on the wingtip, like if I'm normally standing like straight upright and it gets on my right wingtip, I'll have to change, and I'm like way over on my left side, just to sort of, and you can still foil, but you have to fully adjust your stance. If it's on the left tip, you've got to adjust the other way. And what what I started doing for the race, the Doctor, I was stopping and taking it off and then going again. Ben and Marcus Tardrew were just plowing through it. They were using a little bit bigger foils, so they had more speed to go slower. Whereas I looked at the conditions, it was windy, put a small foil on, and just when I hit the seaweed, I'm like, oh, I can't go any longer. And I stopped once or twice early on, and then I realized I couldn't stop because I was losing too much ground, and I was just going to pick up seaweed just down the track anyway. So you stop, get it off, and then get going, and you pick it up in like sort of another 500 meters. So you can't stop every 500 meters, so you just have to learn to go with it. And you're pumping and you're doing all this stuff, and so what we found to get rid of it is you just have to go really fast. Like try to go as fast as you can, straight with a run, and sometimes it just sheds off. You've got to go really high on your foil to try to have the weed, the seaweed, either like sort of fall off or at least not play a role. And then the last thing is like try to turn really hard. Try to turn really hard to try to get it to come off. But it's a nightmare. It will kill foil races if we can't find a way to fix it. I wanted to go into detail on that because I know exactly what you're talking about.
So when you have too much, it's impossible to navigate. Like at some point you lose speed, and then when you lose too much speed, you just drop. So anyway, so that's why we decided to do the 20K. So we said, okay, 20K. Even if it's hard, it's still manageable. We can do it. So we start all together, and actually it was like 10, 12, maybe a little bit more. So it was windy enough, enough bump, enough energy. There were enough also groundswell, so you could feel the groundswell like pushing you. So I think for the first 5 kilometers, it was all good, like leading and like some Tom and Paul, they took off like a bullet and they were like far ahead, and some and other were most at the back. But when we arrived at I don't know, maybe mid race, maybe 8 kilometers, we started to go into the Sargassum. And you could see them everywhere. It was like, oh, okay, it's gonna be hard. So it was hard. So you, just like you said, you try to find a way to remove them. So sometimes I was trying to do a really quick backside turn combined to a front side turn. Then I tried to go as high as possible and go and push really strong on my front foot to, when I see those, like trying to go as fast as possible through the kelp. And sometimes it works, but sometimes you can feel. So that is funny. When you have the seaweed stuck in the tail, you can listen to the bubble.
It's the worst.
You listen, like you can hear the bubble. It's like blue, blue, blue. And when it's stuck on the front wing, it doesn't stuck long time. Usually it goes away, but when it goes on your mast, it doesn't make any noise, but you can feel drag. So you're just like going slower and slower and slower. At some point. So that's why a big foil was working, because the stall speed is so low that you can manage to go. But like the guy with the small foil, they were dead as soon as they entered the
internet just dropped out a little bit, but what you're saying was that the guys on the smaller foils, they had zero chance. Like they couldn't keep foiling in the Sargassum zone, the seaweed zone,
because
zone.
Because the zone with because it was too, I think it was at least 4 kilometers navigating in those Sargassum.
Ouch.
So it was long. It was long. And then after that, you don't know why it was cleared again. Like you could go and it was good.
It's like an obstacle course.
So,
You have to go through the Sargassum zone. You get past the Sargassum zone.
but that's why it's good. So that's why it's good about actually racing. It reminds me the time when I was racing stand-up paddling. It said like, okay, it's never over until it's over.
Yeah.
Because
seriously.
you don't know what can happen. Because I was surprised when I arrived that Paul won, and I wasn't expecting him to win, and you know, so you never know what can happen.
So what
And
was
he
Paul?
actually,
What was Paul using? What size foil was Paul using?
The
Obviously, F1.
The F1 1480.
And
I think when I talked to him later, he said he had to stop only once.
Uh-huh.
So
and that's more of a surf foil shape, yeah? So it's like sort of more D-shaped. Is that right?
Yeah, it's more like it's a F1 Phantom. It's kind of old actually. It's an old design. It's at least 2 years old, I think. Mm-hmm. But still, I think it's not, you know, on those conditions, you don't need the fastest foil. You need a foil that you can trust, and you.
Yeah. Seriously. Yeah, I'm just looking at. I'm just looking it up. It's I'll share the screen. I was just wondering because when I did my race in the Seaweed, the Doctor, I guess
that's the one.
Yeah. So looking at the foil shape, see how it's at the end, it's sort of swept back here. Versus like I guess the time I was using the Go Foil 180, and that was sort of more like this, so it had less sweep, so it was like straighter. And what we found, we discussed it, and what we Ben Tardru won that race, and he was using the Takuma LOL, the original one, the really quite, they're like sort of D shapes like this with wingtips on the end. And I guess I was on more of a foil like this. And what we found was, what we thought was, because this foil is deeper, not as high aspect, but also with swept back tips, if you hit seaweed, it actually blend off to the side, the front wing. Whereas for me, if I hit seaweed, it had nowhere to go. So it's just going to wrap on like that. So I'm not sure if it was an actual thing, but like maybe there's going to be things like weed foils, you know, so like weed fins, basically more swept back, like I guess low aspects of the surf foils. And this isn't actually as swept back as I would have thought, but it was more obvious with Ben and I. But also the tail wings. I had my tail wing mounted on the bottom. So if your tail wing's mounted on the bottom, if you're going through weed, I think it's more likely to pick up weed. But if it's mounted on the top, I think you're less likely to pick up weed, because you've got the mast, I guess, stopping it from getting wrapped around the top. So you're going to get on the mast, but less likely to get it on there.
Protected.
Yeah, so like
exactly.
a weed specific foil, I think could be a thing, you know, as more racing sort of begins to, as more racing happens. But like over in Western Australia, it's a serious problem. Marcus Tardru hates the seaweed in the weeds.
I think Paul, he was just strong.
Yeah, pumping through it. Yeah, strong and pumping through it.
Yeah. You just to be strong, and that's why I think a bigger foil with a low stall speed was the way to go, because you could fly, like we always said, it's better to fly at low speed, but fly than
don't stop
and go fast and then you stop and then you're done. So
it's like the hare and the tortoise, right? Like, you know that story, how there's like the hare will run really fast and it has to stop and rest, and the turtle just keeps going. And that's when in for the Doctor, that race, Ben was the turtle and I was fast, stop, fast, stop. And like if you stop, it's so slow. You know, you can't underestimate how slow that is. So I think definitely low stall speed. But I wonder, like Marcus has been playing around with, or he was for after that race, he was looking at getting like a piece of seaweed. A piece of fishing line from the nose of his board down to the bottom of his mast, and seeing if that would sort of shed the weed off so it stayed off the mast. It didn't work, basically. But
yeah, no, I'm not sure about that.
yeah, too much movement. But I'm not sure how we fight this seaweed or sargass or kelp.
I'm pretty sure we can ask Dave Calamar, but I think he's got some crazy idea about it.
He would, for sure. Maybe a big fin in, like at the front of the, like just a, I don't know. You know, he's got the little fin just to help with paddling. Just a little tiny, like at the top of the board, little fin here. Maybe like a big, like center, like another mast at the front, swept back.
No, a good way is to have like really razor, like sharp edges, but then
what do you want, to go slow or to guillotine yourself? Yeah. Yeah, tricky.
So yeah, it was tricky, but I mean, it was part of the race, and at the end only one guy didn't finish the race.
Yeah, wow.
Like even Amandine, which is new into the foiling downwind.
Yeah,
she was able to finish the race. I mean, it took time, like at least 2 hours, but actually she finished just behind me, because I took the wrong beach.
Oh no.
I did this stupid mistake, and
you went too far.
I thought because I trust my GPS watch, and I thought I went too far, so I had to go back through a lagoon and go to the beach, and I asked my way actually to kite school. Mm-hmm. And because I thought I went too far, and they said no, the beach is right there. So I had to go back, cross the lagoon, and paddle and catch a bump, and yeah, it was right behind. It was so devastating.
Well,
yeah. So yeah, instead of making it like 1 hour something, it took me like almost 2 hours.
Yeah, man, that's crazy.
And I was so close to the finish line.
So what were you?
Know,
yeah, that sucks. Got to check the race map.
when you are racing, sometimes your mind is not working well. Like I was lost. And then I was overthinking. Okay, where is it? I choose the wrong choice.
Yeah, must have been hard work pumping through the seaweed too. Makes breathing harder and not making the best decisions.
So, but at the end it was all good. I think everybody learned a lot of things. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I think I don't think faster foils is really the way for depending the conditions.
Yeah, seriously, I think you're right. I think it's you made the right choice, probably using the 1440 rather than the 1099.
Oh yeah,
because,
yeah, because I was even when I arrived, and despite having to do a crazy run to the beach, I wasn't exhausted. I could have done like 20 more without the seaweed. But yeah. I was because I was gliding. I was really having a good time except during this seaweed part.
Yeah,
I was really having a good time. I was gliding. It was nice. It wasn't like strong, but it was big enough to. I didn't use my paddle.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, that means it's good. So, yeah. Oh, very cool.
Yeah,
that's good. A good bit of insight, I guess, for those.
But I think for next year, I think the Romu and all the organizers, so they listen to what we said after all the feedback, and we said maybe a small waiting period would be nice, at least for the foiler. So if we see a good condition before the race, we can do the race one day before. And I think that would be the best way to have a really good race.
I think that's probably going to be the way forward for downwind foil races, because you can go to the windiest place in the world, and the one day that the race is on, say it's windy 6 days out of 7. If the race is on that one day that isn't windy for that week, then it kind of ruins the race in some respect, you know. Whereas if there's good conditions either side, let's just shift it back one day, or shift it forward one day, and it makes it a really good experience. If you have a 3-day waiting period in a windy spot, you're more likely to get good conditions.
So yeah. So I think for next year they will do that.
Awesome. Yeah.
So it's going to be.
And we're going to get a boat to come through and like clear the Sargassum, you know, just like.
yeah.
Yeah. That'd be nice, but I doubt it.
Yeah, the Sargassum, it's a big problem, and you don't know when. We'll see.
Yeah, we will see. And yeah, very cool, mate. Thanks for coming on to I guess just tell us what happened over there and sort of get the insight from someone on the water.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
No,
very,
I think it's interesting, and I think hopefully we will see more races like that. So
yeah, seriously,
because it's not that hard, because it's not like there won't be like too many people doing it, and it's easy to travel. So I think it's easy to have people coming from everywhere. So I think I say, hey, go organize some downwind foil racing.
Yeah, seriously. I'm trying to grow the downwind foiling here in Sydney, and there's a few guys getting, there's like the next level of people are coming through, and we've got like a self-proclaimed Team C. they're putting the time in, and they're having some success in the bay runs, but having a bit more hard time in the ocean runs. Obviously, more swell makes it a little bit trickier. But yeah, we're trying to grow that. So it's been a process, but it's I think it's right on the tipping point where more and more it's going to be more accessible to more and more people as foils get better, and we understand boards getting better, and all of this. So yeah, it's cool. I think in a couple of years' time we'll be maxing out these races.
Yeah, I see a lot of people asking questions, and you can see good interest about the downwind foiling, but the dark side of this is it looks so easy when you look at the Instagram. It looks so easy, and maybe some people don't realize it's not as easy. So.
Yeah, 100%. Everyone, yeah, I guess don't believe anything on Instagram. It's hard, and like the learning curve, if you don't know how to stand up paddle, or even if you're doing it with a wing, or you're doing it with a prone, man, you've got to put the time in, regardless.
You're strong. Yeah, that's what I said. I said it's not impossible. You can do it, but yeah, take time, and you need strong basics, sup paddling and foiling. That's what you need, at least.
At least. But like, if you look at, I guess, when you first started, Greg, and when I first started downwinding, the equipment has gotten so much better, you know. So while we had strong foiling and sup background, it was, I guess, we made it possible on the older gear. But with the newer gear, like it's gotten so much easier. Easier to get up and going because the boards are better. Easier to, once you're up, to glide because the wings are higher aspect. So I think equipment is definitely making it more accessible too, which is really cool. You don't need as strong a sup or foiling background. You still need good foundations.
Yeah, true. That's true. Yeah.
But equipment's making it easier.
Yes, that's for sure.
Yeah. So very cool.
Yeah.
I hope if Molokai to Oahu's on, are you planning to go to Hawaii for that?
No, because summertime is the time of the year where I working really full time. So unfortunately, no.
Yeah.
But I hope it will run. Like, do you think so? Because I think it's going to be really competitive.
Yeah, oh man, if it happens,
I
I
want
think
to
it's,
see that. I want to
yeah,
follow that.
if it happens, I think it's going to be super competitive. And look, I hope it happens. I'm just, COVID's such, I'm not sure if COVID's still a problem or what, but it seems like everything's opening up around the world now.
Yeah.
Even
Yeah.
here in Australia, which seems to be a little bit slower than everywhere else. But yeah, fingers crossed.
Yeah, hopefully. I know. Yeah, I know some guy from France wants to do it. So
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
hopefully you'll run. You have no news about, because
I don't have any news. Just someone messaged
no,
me the
you're
other
right.
day. Do you think Molokai 2A is going to happen?
Yeah. So
And I was like, oh, I hope so. I haven't heard anything, but you know, you can't assume anything in this climate. You know, the last 2 years have been virtual. And I think if it doesn't happen, I'd encourage everyone to do the virtual and sign up for the virtual race, because that's going to help them when it does open back up to continue to be a race. If you don't help them out with the virtual racing stuff, then you know, it's going to be really hard for them to do anything. So yeah, I've signed up the last 2 years for the virtual race, and I did a paddle on my stand up, and I actually entered twice. I did one on a sup and one on a foil, because I want to compete in both. So it's well, look, obviously, like conditions wise, virtual racing's tough, but it's more about supporting the race and helping it continue. So yeah, I think that's pretty cool that we can do that for a race like Molokai to Oahu. That's such an iconic, I guess, prestigious race.
Yeah.
Yeah. You'll have to Greg, you'll have to let us know if there's another one of those French downwind championships going on again, because that looks like something I'd love to come and take part in, the week-long and the race.
Yeah, there will be, I will let you know. There will be the French championships, I think, in November. We're still waiting for people to organize, so we'll see.
Yeah.
And I think there is a race, but it's a small race, but it's going to be a downwind in April, where I live. So it's good. We have some races. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, the French are
and
so
then you
onto
have
it.
the Euro. Yeah, it's. You have the Euro Tour also with the. I think there might be some downwind open to foiling. I don't know.
Yeah, I'll have to chat to Bellard and see what he's
got in store.
Yeah, he'll know. He was trying to get me over last year, but I'm like, dude, it's too hard to leave Fortress. I'd never get back. But I think it's opening up now. And this year's probably a little tricky for me. I've got a little one due in about a week. Maybe by the time I release this, I may even have a little one. So I'm going to be spending a bit of time at home.
That's good.
Yeah, exciting. Yeah.
When is that supposed to happen?
Due date is March 3, but we wait 37 weeks now.
When is it supposed to happen?
March 3rd.
Oh, okay, so
yeah, it's getting close.
So, yeah. Enjoy your sleeping right now, because it won't be the same.
I know,
at
that's
least
why,
for a year, maybe more.
I was trying to do this chat last night with Greg, and like 7 o'clock, and it was like, let's go tomorrow morning, because we're going to bed. We're making the most of sleep right now. Yeah. So thanks for doing this morning instead of last night.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Yeah. Well,
okay, good.
Yeah, well,
Sounds good.
Thanks for coming on, Greg. Always a pleasure to chat races, and I hopefully we can get some more races going on here in Australia, and hopefully everyone get to and support these races that are happening, like Z Race, the French Championship, hopefully races in Hawaii like Molokai to Oahu, and I think it's going to see the equipment get better and better. Hopefully not just faster and faster, but more usable for everyone. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Thanks, mate. We'll speak soon.
You're welcome.